Hey guys, what's going on? I'm taking a little bit of a break from doing gun reviews today, and I've decided to do a review of something a little bit different. I'm doing a review of the Rajintek Aidos CPU cooler. It's kind of funny, this is the second time I'm recording this audio because I kept pronouncing it Audios. A little bit of dyslexia going on right there. This is a $20 CPU cooler. It has 4 heat pipes going out radially, and overall I've had just a very good experience with it. And of course you will see this at the about midway through the video. The cooler comes packed very well. It has all the accessories you need for mounting Intel and AMD hardware. Fin density is about what you see out of a Cooler Master Hyper T4. And quality is very, very good. It doesn't feel like a complete piece of shit, and that's something that matters to me. It comes with the heatsink itself, a 92mm fan, the Intel mounting hardware, and it includes Intel mounting hardware for socket 1150 and older, and also AMD mounting hardware. It does come with some thermal compound with the cooler. Most cooler makers do include this, and for all intents and purposes I will be using this thermal material later on, and you will get to see me apply that. I figured it's worth pointing out that the cable for the fan is sleeved in high density MDPC. I don't know if they intended to do that on purpose, but I think it looks very, very good. And if they're watching this, Rajintek, I noticed this, and I greatly appreciate it. So here's the system we're going to be putting it in. As you can see, I have the water cooling loop all set up in there. And the reason I'm putting this cooler in there is my CPU block, of all things, is actually leaking. I'm not sure if I put the gasket in there wrong, but it's all got to come out, and I'm going to be putting the cooler in there. Now we're moving on to installation, and I am using the included thermal material that comes with the cooler. And a lot of people will probably disagree with my methodology of applying the thermal paste, but I am putting it on spread style. Basically, I inject a pea-sized blob onto the IHS and then put a little Ziploc baggie over my index finger and just kind of spread it out in a circular pattern until I achieve a nice, good, solid consistency. And I don't do this for all coolers, I just do it for ones with heat pipes that protrude in the bottom, so that the paste will actually fill in the gaps in between the heat pipes. That otherwise you wouldn't need to do that with a flat-based air cooler like a Noctua or a water block from an all-in-one cooler. I just figure, I found out in my years of building PCs and using air-cooled heat sinks that it just works a lot better this way. One thing you're gonna want to do, and I didn't show you this in the video, and because I didn't do it, is that you're gonna want to remove the plastic cover on the bottom of the heatsink that you saw earlier. I didn't actually do that, and I forgot completely about it. And at idle, I was getting somewhere between 79 to 85 degrees centigrade at idle, which was very alarming. And then I kind of hit me that I didn't actually remove the plastic cover. So, learned from my mistake. We're not all perfect. I could have perfectly learned from me and, not ever do that. You will need to install the cooler without the 92mm fan. You put the fan on after you secure the bracket to the socket. Plug in the 4-pin PWM cable, secure it nice and good, and there it is. Your CPU cooler is now installed. It looks very, very good. It's kind of dwarfed by the rest of the build, even though it's a micro ATX build in my particular situation, but it does the job. So we're going in the BIOS here, and we're going to configure a fan curve, a custom fan curve for the CPU fan. Not necessarily for the other chassis fans, because I got them running I have Noctuas in the front that are running at 900 RPM. Gentle Typhoons inside the chassis and the main body are running 950 RPMs, and I feel like that's a very nice balance between the fans. For whatever reason, in the fan curve for the CPU, at first I decided to put it at a very odd linear curve. I don't know why I did that at first. I ended up changing it after testing and after figuring out that I forgot to remove the plastic. Don't do this. Set a very nice and easy curve. Don't do that. So here's a system with the cooler installed. It's idling currently, as you see here. Our equipment that we're cooling is the Core i7-5960X. Of course, that's the 8-core, overclocked to 4.2 gigahertz, and we are using a stock preset on the X99 Fatality M Killer Edition. Of course, that's the micro ATX board. About 10 minutes into the testing phase, the CPU kind of equalized in terms of heat. I am using Aidos 64. A lot of people will probably disagree with that. Prime 95 is a good tool to use for maximum heat output, but I'm not looking for maximum heat output because Prime 95 is relatively dangerous in that it can actually override your preset max power setting in your BIOS, and in cases it'll actually cause irreparable damage to your CPU due to either heat or overvolting. And that's why I prefer Aidos 64. It's a lot more realistic of a maximum load. 20 minutes into testing and we see that the everything's basically equalized except for the motherboard VRM temps. Those are getting hotter and they'll get progressively hotter as time goes on. But the CPU temps have basically equalized. We maxed out at anywhere between 81, 82 centigrade, and I think that's a very comfortable temperature, especially for 8 cores overclocked to 4.2 gigahertz. That's very, very good. So, what do I think about this cooler? I think it's very aggressively priced. I got this for $20 US at newegg.com, free shipping, and it did an excellent job. A 92 millimeter cooler cooling 8 CPU cores overclocked to 4.2 gigahertz. I think that's phenomenal. And that's not even the lowest voltage I could have used either. So I'm very, very happy with this cooler, and I would definitely buy it again. Like this video if you like it, dislike it if you thought it sucked, and I'll see you in the next one.